Hello and welcome to the City Connect podcast with me. I'm your host, Prince Carl, and I'm here today joined by my guest.
I'm Ethan, and I'm your son.
How are we related?
I'm your son.
He is a wonderful young man. He comprises 50% of my DNA. And basically the point of this podcast is I'm going to talk about entrepreneurship. I'm going to talk about science and some current events. I am a huge connoisseur of a lot of different podcasts, too many to mention. Some days when I'm on the road, I listen to as many as 5 hours of podcasts a day. I'm a long-haul trucker and an entrepreneur and getting involved in that, and so I'll be telling my story. But today we're going to cover a few topics. Ethan, what were you going to be talking about?
I'm going to be talking about the Dodgers and the Astros and how they were cheating. The Astros cheated, not the Dodgers, in the World Series. And
there's a possibility that the 2018-2017 World Series, what's the possibility?
They were cheating.
There's a possibility that both of those World Series titles could be given to the Dodgers if this cheating scandal, which is a pretty big deal right now, is determined to be significant enough. I personally think that the Dodgers should be awarded both 2017 and 2018 pennants for the World Series. What's your opinion on that?
I actually disagree. I think that the year should just be marked like no one won because both teams cheated. You never know. Even though I'm a Dodgers fan, the Yankees could have won. You know, all the other teams that the Astros beat in the playoffs, they could have cheated for all of them. Would have had totally different outcomes.
Let me give a quick shout out to myself. If you'd like to contact me, my Instagram is @_Prince PRINCE _Carl CARL @_Prince _Carl. I would love it if somebody contacted me via Instagram. I have my phone literally glued to my hand, so if you contact me on Instagram, I will most likely contact you, and I could be on your podcast and you'll be on mine, and we'll get it started. So definitely a way to reach out, and I'm going to be definitely posting some photos of where we're at on Instagram. We're right now. Ethan, do you want to tell us where we're at?
We're at the Griffith Observatory in Hollywood, California, or Los Angeles.
Hollywood Hills, but LA, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful view, a lot of tourists. So the other thing I'm going to be talking about today on the podcast is an interesting connection that I found between some of the 4 of the largest fast food chains. They actually, 4 of these large fast food chains, Taco Bell, McDonald's, Baker's, and Wiener Schnitzel, all originated from the same high school. So, Ethan, why don't you get off into the whole Dodgers thing?
Okay, so basically,
what happened exactly?
Manager Alex Cora, and he decided to cheat in the World Series and some of the other playoff games. We don't really know how much he cheated, but basically how he would do it is he would have people read the catcher's signs, basically.
Right.
Then they would relay it back to him, and they would use trash cans banging, or like they even might have had they don't know, they're not sure, but they could have had electric buzzers like on the players' actual bodies to let them know if a fastball was coming or if an off-speed pitch.
So what's an example? So they would actually watch what the catcher's signal was.
Yeah. So they would get a live feed to their dugout of what the sign was, and the live feed would basically like tell them like via banging on trash can lids or like whistling.
So like 2 bangs means a changeup.
Yeah.
3 bangs means a slider. 1 bang means a fastball. Something like that. And they were basically taking the signals from the catcher and communicating those to the batter as the batter was up at bat.
Yeah,
now,
so he would know exactly what was coming to him.
Okay. And this was going on for 2 different World Series, right?
Yes. So basically, one of the coaches on the Astros, Alex Cora, was basically the person who started this. And then the next year, after he won the World Series, he was hired by the Boston Red Sox, and he basically cheated over there too. So both World Series, there was some cheating going on. And actually, if you
So he
look
took
at,
the cheating scandal to both of the World Series,
yes, and if you
2017 and 2018.
yeah, and if you look at the Astros stats, like mid-season, from the first part of the season to the second part, they significantly boost up.
Interesting.
Like home runs.
When the coach
batting
came over and
average.
brought his cheating scandal, Alex Cora brought the cheating scandal over to the team that he was working for. All of a sudden, they had a big boost in their batting averages and hit on on-base percentage and stuff like that.
So the Boston Red Sox have not been punished yet, but for the Astros, they were their first and second draft picks for 2020 and 2021 were relinquished.
Wow.
They were given a $5 million fine, and some of their coaches actually got suspended. Alex Cora was on the Red Sox already, so he didn't get suspended by the Astros, but baseball suspended A.J. Hinch and Jeff Lunnow.
Who were they?
They were some of the managers and different coaches on the Astros, basically, and the Astros decided to fire them. So they were both fired due to the scandal. But I think they should just take away the World Series titles. There should just be no World Series winners. Also,
For 2017, 2018, yeah.
yes. Also, Alex Cora was fired from the Boston Red Sox. They took it upon themselves to fire him. And Carlos Beltran, who was actually a player on the 2017 Houston Astros World Series, he was one of the players. He then became a coach for the Mets, and he was also fired from the Mets.
Wow.
They
So
decided to part
all
ways.
told, 4 coaches fired?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, one of them was a player originally, but he became a coach and he was fired.
So 4 coaches were fired, but I think Dodger fans want some sort of just closure in the fact that knowing that, because the 2017 World Series was pretty close. It went to Game 7, right? Mm-hmm. And had the other team not been cheating, who did they play in 2017? In the World Series, it was the
Astros.
The Astros. Had their cheating not been involved, most likely the Dodgers would have won. And you could definitely make that case because, like I said, it came down to the 9th inning of the 7th game in the World Series. And
Well, it came down to the 7th game, but
right, 7th
also not to mention...
Let's go sit on the grass, but yeah, keep
There
going.
was so much lost from this cheating, like Yu Darvish's record and Clayton Kershaw's record slandered by it, and probably millions of dollars lost in Las Vegas, people betting on the games, and
Right.
they just changed history through their cheating,
Right. It just taints the whole experience to know that there was that cheating going on for 2 World Series. So that's really interesting. That's a hot button issue, and a lot of people are talking about that. Let's sit down here real quick, and then I just want to talk about this cool connection that I found between these 4 fast food joints. So basically, it all starts with a guy named, let me check my notes right here, with the founder of Wiener Schnitzel. His name was John Gallardi, and he founded Wiener Schnitzel, I believe in 1952. But anyway, he was an employee of a guy named Glenn Bell. And at one point, the founder of Wiener Schnitzel, John Gallardi, gave a $6,000 loan. Wait, I'm screwing this up. I'm sorry. John Gallardi worked for Glenn Bell. Glenn Bell borrowed $6,000 from John Gallardi. Glenn Bell then defaulted on that loan, and subsequently, John Gallardi bought I think it was a hot dog stand from Glenn Bell at the time, and then started Wiener Schnitzel. Glenn Bell is related to the founders of McDonald's and the founders of Baker's. Baker's is like a fast food joint that we have here in California. They serve burgers and Mexican food. It's not really that big on the East Coast, but Glenn Bell, Neil T. Baker, the founder of Baker's, and the McDonald brothers, Dick and Mac McDonald, all attended the same high school, which is San Bernardino High School. So the interesting thing is that San Bernardino High School gave birth to the whole concept of fast food. Mac McDonald and Dick McDonald started McDonald's in 1954, and based on the success that they had there, Glenn Bell noticed their success, as did Neil T. Baker, and they kind of went off and spawned their own fast food joints. Glenn Bell started Taco Bell, which, according to my notes, was started as Taco Tia in 1954, and in 1962 he founded Taco Bell, subsequently sold it to PepsiCo for $125 million. But yeah, interestingly, those three major fast food joints, Taco Bell, Baker's, and McDonald's, all three guys went to the same high school, San Bernardino High School. Winter Central was founded by a guy that worked for Glenn Bell. And interestingly, the In-N-Out connection to all these four fast food joints is that the In-N-Out family knew, they were sort of loosely friends with Glenn Bell and also the McDonald brothers. I imagine, I'm just kind of speaking off the cuff, I imagine that they probably borrowed some of the concepts that McDonald's was doing, because McDonald's was the one that pioneered the whole idea of a fast food concept. And also, In-N-Out was started around the same time, circa 1952 to 1956. But McDonald's didn't actually expand to the level that we know it to be a worldwide phenomenon until Ray Kroc was involved, who, if you've ever seen the movie, the founder was a milkshake machine salesman, and he saw the concept of McDonald's and took it to where it is. But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting concept. So I'm the kind of person that, like I said, I, when I'm on the road in the truck, I'm going to listen to as much as 5 hours of podcasts a day, some days back to back to back. So that could be 20 hours of podcasts a week. And I'm going to shout out eventually, at some point I'll shout out the podcasts that I listen to. But I just felt that it didn't seem right to me to listen to all these podcasts and have all of the ideas that I got knocking around in my head and then not, at some point put out my own material. So I decided to do that. And by the way, if you're listening to this podcast, the video, we're recording a video, so you're listening to the high quality audio on the podcast, but the video and audio is on YouTube, so you'll be able to see, a visual representation of how good we look. We just got haircuts. And yeah. So, yeah, my story is, to get started, to go back, I used to have an airport shuttle company called City Connect, and I still have customers to this day that will hit me up and ask me for rides to LAX. Basically what it was just let me get my microphone stand up here. It looks pretty good. City Connect was started in June 15th of 2016, and I bought a van for $5,000. It's a 2005 Ford E350 van. It was a 12-seater, and I basically just became a little bit frustrated. At the time, I was working at a psychiatric hospital. I had been working there for 3 years, so that's plenty of material that I'll be talking about that at some point. But when I was working in there, I had a lot of time on my hands. The psych hospital was a great place to let your mind be free and just sort of think, and in my case, be a dreamer. And so You
weren't at the psych house because you were working
I was not
there.
institutionalized in the psych house. I was a actual worker. So when you see in the movies the when there's a fight that breaks out in the psych house and the guys come running, I was one of those guys. I didn't wear like a black tie and a little white outfit, but I was one of the nursing helpers. They called it a psychiatric assistant. Anyway, it was during this time at the psych house that I decided I was going to start my own business, because I got to a point where the psych hospital, it wasn't really going anywhere. I didn't really have much options to, I could go work at another psych hospital, but I didn't really want to do it. It was a very dangerous job, blah, blah, blah. So I decided I was going to start my own business, and I had never done that. And that was where City Connect came from. I was absolutely crazy at the time. And when I bought the van for $5,000, because I got a loan on my car. I had a 2006 Nissan Altima, and I got a loan on it for like $3,000. I think my dad gave me another maybe like $2,000, and I put the money together and just bought this van. And I had no plan on what I was going to do. Well, I did. I mean, I was going to shuttle people from UC Riverside to LAX and back. But it was wild. It was crazy that I did that. And so I did that for 2 years. I actually supported myself for 2 years. I never made a ton of money doing it, but at one point I had 2 vans, 2 drivers. I was just taking people to and from LAX, from Riverside to LAX and then back. And a lot of hours in traffic, 15-hour days, waking up at 4 a.m., very little extra money, barely getting by. But at the end of the day, I had my own company. I could set my own prices. I could do my own advertising. And it was something to sort of be proud of, that I had started my own company from nothing. It was actually kind of stupid that I started it from nothing. But I made some mistakes doing that. There's 6 crucial mistakes I made, which I'll get to later, which I've written down. Usually along the lines of just not marketing enough, not setting enough of a plan as to the future of the company, jumping into it a little bit too quick, not doing the research. I started the airport shuttle right at the time when Uber was starting to do pickups and drop-offs to LAX and also Lyft, so it was like the absolute worst timing. It was probably the absolute worst business to start. But at some point, I decided in April of 2018, I got to a point where my business wasn't going anywhere. And instead of being depressed about it, I decided I was going to change gears a little bit. And that's when I decided to be a trucker. Called up Swift and said, I like driving. I love being on the road. And I want to figure out how to be a trucker. And they said, yeah, no problem. Come to our trucking academy next Monday, and we will teach you how to be a trucker. And then from there, it's just been a life-changing experience, career-wise, financially, lifestyle, everything. I've never looked back from that point. Right now, after I had worked for Swift for a year and a half, I got a job at a moving company, and my next goal is to get out there on the road as an owner-operator of my own truck and start doing some household moves, which requires a lot, organizationally, physically, a little bit more involved. So that's kind of where I'm going, and I would love to be able to talk to some people about their journey with entrepreneurship and, the mistakes they've made. I think you learn more from the mistakes you make than, the successes. And I've definitely made a lot of mistakes, but I also have had some successes. I'll get more specific on that as I go on. I feel like life is a journey that we're all on. It's like we're kind of on a river. Nothing's set in stone. Nothing is static. Everything is constantly moving. I think, we're here at the Griffith Observatory, and you're looking at the planets, and they're constantly somewhere. They're always moving around some other planetary being and rotating, and nothing is static. So I look forward to putting out this podcast, YouTube channel, and I hope that I can connect with other people and hear about their journeys and have some good conversations. I have a question for you, Ethan, since you are the first guest on the City Connect podcast with myself, Prince Carl. What do you see as being your future? Like, what are you going to do in the future? Where do you see yourself going? You're currently in what grade?
I'm currently in 8th grade.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to high school. I'm gonna study hard, take some AP classes, probably. I'm gonna try and get into an Ivy or just a good college overall.
Okay.
I want to be an engineer because I love science. I think it's awesome that we're here.
You just started doing some coding this week. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I did. I'm in this STEAM class. And
What does STEAM stand for?
Stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Math, or Engineering, Art, and Math.
Okay, and you're learning some coding, and that's really cool.
Yeah. I think that could be helpful in the future, especially where society is going with technology and, computers and everything, programming. So that's kind of exciting. And, who knows?
I think one of my goals for you that I tried to encourage you to do was to learn how to code, and then once you learn how to code, be able to write some sort of program and form a company, because I think you have the gift of gab. I think you're the kind of person that can get a group of guys together and get them on the same page and get something done, right? So that would be kind of cool if you could learn how to code and how to create some specific software and create something of value. You're not opposed to that, right?
What do you mean?
Oh,
no, I'm not opposed to that.
You could start a company, right?
Yeah.
It'd be fun. It'd be like some 13-year-old guys, and they're doing some cool computer stuff. So.
Do you have any other topics?
I'm gonna kind of call it quits for today. And once again, I thank you for listening, and I hope that you tune in for our next episode. I'm going to be interviewing some really cool guests that I have lined up as we move forward. But I'm going to get more into detail about my story. And once again, please feel free to follow me on Instagram @_Prince_Carl. And that's the best way to contact me because, like I said, I have my phone kind of like glued to my hand. I'm actually recording this on 4K HD, 30 frames per second for people at home on YouTube, so that's kind of cool. We got just a little mobile studio here, and let's just walk around and take a look, and then we'll call it quits. But thanks again for listening. We're here in La La Land, like right behind me, if you're listening, is the Griffith Observatory, which is a very iconic thing. And whoa, watch out. And then out there is the Hollywood sign right there. You can kind of see everything. So yeah, over and out.
I'm Ethan.
And do you have any Instagram or social media?
No, I don't even have a phone.
Why don't you have a phone?
Because my mom won't let me go on.
But I tried to get you a phone.
Yeah, I'm gonna get one this summer.
Okay, when you're 14.
13.
Okay. Really?
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
14.
Okay, yeah. He forgot his age, just for the record. He forgot his age. You were born April 5th, 2006. It is currently January 19th, 2020. So, yeah. Ethan's forgetting his age, but we still love him. Have we seen any celebrities out here today? We've seen some Instagram.
We've seen when we were getting our hair cut, we met.
Oh yeah, tell this story. This is cool. We met the
Isaac Whitney.
Isaac Whitney, who is an NFL football player.
He plays for the Texans. He's a wide receiver, and his mom is really cool.
She cut our hair, and she's really cool. And she was getting into the whole story about what it's like, being in the NFL. It's not as glamorous as it always seems, and there's a lot of injuries that go along with it. Her son got injured. He injured his shoulder, just had some sort of a surgery to bring it all back together. Oh, one other thing I wanted to point out before we go, speaking of Instagram, is the fact that last week the Instagram server decided to take away the like count. Basically meaning you can still like something, a post on Instagram, but the number of likes that a post has is no longer visible. So everyone's sort of democratic and on the same page. Which means that whether you get 2 million likes or you get 2 likes, it all appears to be the same. So I was curious as to why they did that. I have a theory as to why they do that, why that was done. The official word from Instagram was that they wanted to, quote, depressurize the system because people were doing too much to get likes or obsessing too much over likes, and it was ruining the experience of Instagram or something along those lines. I think that what they were trying to do is basically make it a little bit more democratic, sort of like Facebook, where Facebook, you don't really know how many friends any one account has. And I think on Facebook, you know how many likes something has. But my theory is...
I think also people might have been getting bullied or something because they don't have any likes or something.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be as far as depressurizing the system. But I think it was a financial move by Facebook, who owns Instagram, to take the like count away because it basically allows them to have more control over the algorithm and makes it harder for people to monetize things themselves. Essentially what I mean by that is, if we don't know how many likes there are on a post, it's harder for someone who has a lot of likes to charge money to advertise on their post because they can no longer publicly substantiate how many likes the post has. And so by keeping that information private, it diverts more of the advertising revenue into Facebook's coffers, basically. They can make money because people pay Facebook and Instagram directly to advertise versus people doing it themselves and charging money for posts like that. So I think it was a financial move. It was probably in some ways trying to increase their stock price. But I just thought it was interesting, and it's also something that not really anyone's talking about. I mean, one day I woke up to Instagram and I did the update, and all of a sudden it just, like, all my posts just said liked by so-and-so and others. So others, I guess, makes everyone democratic. By the way, check out this view. If you're listening on the podcast, we got an incredible view here of downtown LA. It's probably the best view in LA. And it's a pretty nice day.
Yeah, pretty clear.
Yeah.
Not too much smog.
I haven't really spotted any movie stars up here. Just a lot of tourists, people speaking languages from all over the world. So it's kind of a cool meetup to see all these people. And it's one of the few places in LA that you can come and not be disappointed. Because unfortunately, LA is kind of a disappointing city. We're not going to bash LA. That's one thing we said we're not going to do, right? We're not going to trash LA. But there are some downsides to LA. Would you agree with that? Like what?
There is a large number of homelessness.
Yeah, there's over 65,000 homeless people, so you'll see a lot of encampments, a lot of trash. Other thing is with the traffic. During traffic hours, to go 15 miles, you're looking at over an hour. So to go 30 miles, there's a 2-hour drive, which is just, it goes without saying, just an absolutely ridiculous amount of traffic. But there are some nice things about it, you know. There are some tourist spots, which is cool. And yeah, so this is definitely one of them. Check out Griffith Observatory. It's free, by the way. Once again, please tune into my next podcast. I promise I have some cool guests coming up. I haven't totally gelled it out, but I'll see you there. Drive safe. And if you're so inclined, check us out for some cool visuals on YouTube. You know? Why not? Check us out on YouTube, right, Ethan? See what we look like, you know? See how nice our haircuts look. But yeah, we'll see you there, and drive safe. Thanks for tuning in to the City Connect podcast with Prince Carl, and of course, my lovely guest, Ethan Carl Nectarline.